Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough, the Parenting Through Challenges podcast. I am your host, Angie Grant. And for today's episode, I actually want to follow up on last week's episode. So, last week, the episode was all about creating goals, right? It's that time of year where many people think about New Year's resolutions. And I kind of talked about how I don't really believe, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but that's not how I operate. I've never been a New Year's resolution kind of girl for a couple of reasons. One, I find them to be so arbitrary and such an unusual thing to say at the start of the year that you're going to be better. Why, I always wondered why not just work, like why not decide today that today is the day that I'm going to change things. But I actually wanted to follow up about last week's episode as I've been reflecting and thinking about the challenges that I have encountered along my path towards achieving my biggest goals and what I've learned in particular over the last year, but really in the last couple of years about what it really takes to achieve a goal. Because last episode we were talking about the importance of creating a vision, about really being able to visualize and put yourself in that future moment when your goal has been achieved, being able to see it, feel it, smell it, imagine what it is like to have your goal achieved. I think that that is such a key player in achieving your goal, but it isn't the only necessary part to get there. Because the version of you sitting here or standing or whatever you're doing as you're listening to this episode, the version of you today hasn't achieved that goal yet. But there's a really big reason. It's not because you're not capable, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough energy. I mean, maybe some of those things feel true right now, but the real reason that you haven't achieved that goal yet, because I imagine it's something that you've been thinking about for a long time, right? If your goal is about having a closer relationship with somebody you love, or about, really creating a job that you love, or maybe getting a new home, whatever that goal is, I imagine that you've been thinking about it for a while. But you listening to this episode today, your body is holding on to a story. It's holding on to a story about who you are, what you're capable of, what capacity you have, how much you deserve. The version of you today is holding on to a story that you've spent your entire life gathering. You've gathered bits and pieces of that story, probably starting from when you were very, very young. And that story, it isn't just something that you think in your head or something that you remember occasionally. It's something that you hold in your body, in all of the parts of your body. And it shows up in the way that you take action. It shows up in the fears that hold you back. It shows up in the results that you have in your life that don't match the big, impossible goal that you have for yourself. When I first learned this concept, it was through my very first mentor who she opened my eyes to this concept she called becoming her. And when I started to really wrap my head around what does that really mean? Well, through the way that my first mentor, Julie Ciardi, taught me and taught so many others, is that in order for us to achieve our goal, we have to become that person now. We can't wait until we achieve the goal to then become somebody who's taking action, to then become somebody who believes it's possible. We have to start taking action as if we're her or him now, today. Because the idea being, if you want a new home, right? Maybe the home that you're living, maybe you're renting or you don't like where you're living or you want something more expansive or connected to nature, right? If today the only action you're taking is action as if you're a person who lives in your current home, then you're not going to take action. You're not going to do the things you need to do to create that possibility. And that new home that you hope for isn't going to magically manifest itself in front of you. You have to take action that's aligned with acquiring whatever the thing is. If, for example, you want to create a job that is more fulfilling for you. You want to follow your purpose and serve others through your purpose. But every day, the steps that you take are as your current self going to work, going through the motions of doing your current job, and then coming home and going through the motions of life. And you're never taking action as a version of you who has achieved that goal. It's impossible to achieve. So when I first learned that concept about becoming her, I my mind was just blown, right? I'd never really thought about it that way. And maybe you have, but I hadn't. I'd never really thought about, I feel like I was raised to believe that when we have the things that we want, that's when we start being that person. That's when we start being somebody who, you know, lives lives in a bigger, more beautiful home, or that's when we start being the person who's an entrepreneur. No, you have to start taking that action today. But as I've progressed through my own evolution and what I've learned and have brought other mentors into my life, I've that concept of becoming her, I can do parts of that, but there's still something that holds me back. And it wasn't until recently, as I was following the work of Dr. Karen Parker, and she started really bringing to light to me this concept that, yes, we can create that vision of who we want to be. We can create actionable steps about how to be her. But if our body is still holding on to this story that we aren't good enough, that we don't deserve better, that we're not capable, or that we're not empowered to make decisions that are right for us, if that's the story our body is holding, well, I can do all the lip service I want to try to convince my mind that I'm her. But my body is still taking action in a way that it believes that perhaps I'm not good enough or I'm not capable or it's not for me. And so that's what I want to talk about today is as you think about that big impossible goal that you started thinking about as you were listening to the last episode. And if you haven't listened yet, go back and check it out. But as you start thinking about that big impossible goal that you want more than anything else in the world, and you can visualize yourself there, my suggestion is to do work on your current story. I um I offer something called Story Labs, a process that I became certified through Dr. Parker, and she's offering some upcoming workshops as well. Um, but in the process of Story Lab, we go through a, a, a creative process to help you really see how energetically the parts of your story that you're holding on to, how they really are parts of the shadows of your human design. And in going through that process, we can really see how to take actionable steps that are aligned for you to create a new story, to write a new story that is aligned with what you want in life. When I think about the idea of first and foremost using your strategy and authority, if that's the only thing that you took away from this episode today is if if you really understood your strategy and authority, the way that you are energetically designed to make decisions that are aligned with you, if you really start embodying being you and making decisions as you and not letting your head make the decisions for you, right? You have a beautiful, brilliant mind that is designed to help you coordinate all the details after you've made a decision. But through the lens of human design. And the more that I put this into practice, the more that I see its truth is that none of us are designed to make decisions with our head. Some of us are designed to have a splenic knowing. Some of us are designed to trust our gut or our sacral response. Some of us are designed to have uh, wait out our emotional wave and to come to a place of peace before making decisions. Starting there at the simplest level of understanding human design, you don't even need to necessarily understand what it means to be a generator or a projector or a manifestor type, but really understanding your unique strategy and authority or decision making can be a powerful first step to unraveling your old story and stepping into your new story. Because the version of you, if you're not yet doing this, of course, if you're already doing this, then, let's move on to the next step. But if you're not yet making decisions in the way that you are energetically designed, then that means that the story that you're holding on to, the version of you that's listening to this right now, has not yet learned how to make decisions that are energetically aligned with you and not and when you're not making decisions through your strategy and authority, then you're not yet making decisions that are aligned with your true purpose. That's the whole point. When we make decisions following our strategy, following our authority, we're essentially what that means is that we are making decisions that are energetically aligned with our purpose because we are energetically designed to fulfill our purpose. All of us are. None of us are here on this planet to move through life without the capacity to fulfill our purpose. And we're all fulfilling our purpose. My goal is to fulfill it at the highest frequency possible and the highest level of service possible. We all have that capacity. But most of us, the vast majority of humanity, is going through life making decisions with their head, which means that we're making decisions that aren't really aligned for us. And they're perhaps aligned with what we think is best for us or what the shoulds of life or what we think will keep other people happy, even though we could never possibly know what's energetically right for them, right? So if you take nothing else away from this episode, let it be to go grab your chart and understand what your strategy and authority is. And if you read it, and you don't really know what that means, reach out. I would love to help you understand your specific strategy and authority. But so that's that first layer, right? Is understanding your strategy and authority. And then that next layer is really understanding your type. When you have a greater understanding, and I don't mean understanding in your head, I mean understanding in your body. When your body, when your energy really understands what it means to be a generator type, or really understands what it means to be a non-sacral type or a projector or manifester, right? You're in a position to create and imagine goals that are aligned for you, that you are here to fulfill. Because when we first start doing this work, when we first start, whether doing work on creating big goals for yourself or doing work on understanding your human design, when we first start doing that work, it's nearly impossible at first to shed all of the conditioning that we have, to shed other people's ideas about what's best for us. It's so ingrained in the way that we operate every day. It's our habitual way of thinking. We put it on autopilot. And so understanding you and your type and moving on to your profile, because each of us is energetically designed to learn in different ways, to create in different ways, and to each of us is designed to fulfill our purpose in different ways. And so really digging into your design, your energetic needs is is I think the most powerful way to create what it is that you want in life. And if I'm being honest, I'm not there yet. I am right here doing the work with you and really trying to wrap my head around. I've been digging into my design for a couple of years now, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to shed all the thoughts that run through my head about what I have taken to be part of me, but really is everybody else's ideas about who I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to behave, how I'm supposed to show up in this world, how I'm supposed to work and love and create. My mind and my body is holding on tight to everybody else's ideas. And I'm still in the learning phase of learning what really is me and really trusting when my gut is telling me one thing. I'm still in that learning phase, but I'm seeing the magic that comes from that. I'm seeing that when I really trust myself and get quiet and listen, that I know so much more about what I need than my head ever did because my head was full of everybody else's ideas or what I took to be everybody else's ideas, right? I have that open head and ajna and man, am I good at holding on to other people's energy when it comes to thoughts and inspiration and ideas and what I feel like I need to do to make sure that everybody's happy around me. I have so many parts in my design, so many elements in my design that are designed or set me up to be such a people pleaser. And so learning how to shed that has been a huge part of my growth over the past couple of years. I even recently heard as I was listening to another newer mentor of mine as she was talking about, that people pleasing part of us. I think it's a part of there's so many elements in my design that set me up to be a people pleaser. It doesn't mean that I was destined to be one, but I wanted to keep the peace. There were things that happened in my life that I think I learned very early on. It was safest if I did my best to keep everybody else happy. And another mentor of mine, Cassandra Quick, she had talked about this concept that people pleasing can be considered the fourth trauma response, that fawning response, right? We people please as a way to respond to traumas. And hearing that just resonated so deeply with me because I, it had became such a big part of my identity to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do to keep everybody else happy. Not that I don't want my family to be happy. That is part of what I love, but I don't need to do it at the sacrifice of my own happiness. And that's where I think I was, and I'm making huge strides out of that phase of my life. And also where I see so many other women, especially in my close circle. So, but back to this concept about what do we really, really need to do to make progress, to achieve our big, scary, uh, crazy goal that we are hoping to achieve is that I believe in my heart that in order to achieve your biggest, scariest goal that you have right now, you have to rewrite your story. It requires you to take a look at the story that you have right now and not in a beating yourself up kind of way, but to look at energetically how are you designed to perhaps struggle? And every element in your design has that element of struggle, that element of shadow, that element of fear, perhaps. And also, every element of your design, not only does it have that shadow side, but it also has that gift side. And so, really taking the time, taking a few hours to sit down and really understand why your story is the way that it is today, and then to empower yourself to make a decision to do something different about it, because that is also written in your design. Everything that you want to achieve is written in your design. When I think back to, you know, the books and articles that I've read about personal development over the past couple of years, I was a huge fan of Bob Proctor, who recently passed. And he has this beautiful article called the Responsibility Article. And I can't even tell you how many times I've read it at this point. I mean, probably 100 times because I often use it as I'm teaching classes. And he says in there that um, everything that you want to achieve in this world is possible and more. And, it seems so, I don't know, cliche to say that until you really start to understand that it really is. Everything that you want to achieve, it seems impossible because you're looking at it through your current lens as your current self, holding on to your current traumas. But when you really do the work to understand your story and how it's mapped out energetically, and then empower yourself to rewrite it, everything that you want in this life really is possible. So here's my challenge for you is I really want to encourage you to pull out your human design. And if you're new to human design, then let's connect. I'd love to help you with this. But if you've been digging into your design and you understand the elements of it, I really encourage you to take a look, a curious look at the story that your body is holding on to today about who you are, about how you are, about what you deserve, and see how that matches what's in your design. Look at your type, your profile, your strategy and authority, even look at your incarnation cross. There are also some other key elements that you could look at in your design as well, but I'd start there. Start with those key elements and look at how your design maps out what you're experiencing today. And then I encourage you, and I learned this from Dr. Parker, is I really encourage you to use creativity, use your imagination to get out of that logic fear side of your mind, of your thought process, and really move into the creative process to rewrite your story. Write your story as an empowered story and look at what your design on the gift side, on the higher frequency side, shows you that is possible for you. Each person I meet and as I look through their design, and I look at what's written in there, it lights me up to see what's possible for every human that I've met. There's no human that I have yet met that has a design that is destined for doom. We all have the capacity to reach our highest goal, but it takes us doing different work than probably we've ever been taught to do before. Before we've been taught to pick an achievable goal and make manageable steps to get there, but that is not a goal. That's just a to-do list. And I know that in your heart, if you're listening to this, you want more, you want better, you want bigger, and you are capable of that. It just requires you to perhaps take a different approach and really look at energetically why you are where you are today. Look at yourself with compassion and then bring something fantastic into your story. Perhaps this is the moment where I am the magic fairy who came and bopped you on the head with my magic wand. And now moving forward, you are living into who you have always been destined to be at that higher frequency without carrying along with you the shadows. And I I say that knowing that we will continue to learn lessons throughout our entire life. There isn't a magical moment when voila, everything is better. Everything is easy. That is not how we learn and grow. We will continue to have challenges, but when we can look at those challenges with curiosity instead of holding on to them as a part of our story that we believe to be true about who we are and what we deserve, that's when it becomes a problem. When we can't look at those challenges as a lesson to learn, when we can't look at those challenges as as that catalyst for a next evolution of growth, that's when it becomes a problem and we stay stuck and we don't achieve our goals. So, I would love to hear your thoughts about this. I'd love to hear where you're stuck. Let's get you unstuck because you deserve everything that your heart wants. And I, in my heart of hearts, believe that human design, your human design, shows you exactly how to get there. So I cannot wait to connect with you. And I do offer a free connection clarity call if that feels right to you, where we can dig into your human design. We can dig into your parenting relationship, your relationship with your partner. I do also offer EFT one-on-one sessions if that feels right to you. I find it a powerful way to help shed that old story. Sometimes doing this work and digging into our story isn't quite enough, and our body, our energy is really holding on to those traumas because that's how we're designed, right? And I do find that EFT is a powerful way to start shedding that part of the story too. So I invite you when you're ready to connect. I um I know that that's what I'm here to do. So that's all. Take care and we will talk soon.